So this is an article from The Guardian here I want to share with you. Americans die younger in states run by conservatives, study finds. What a surprise. More liberal policies on environment, gun safety, labor, economic taxes, and tobacco taxes associated with lower mortality. They say Americans die younger in conservative states than in those governed by liberals, a new study has found. The authors wrote, simulations indicate that changing all policy domains in all states to a fully liberal orientation might have saved 171,000 lives in 2019, while changing them to a fully conservative orientation might have cost 217,635 lives. Jesus. The study was published on PLOS One, an inclusive journal community working together to advance science for the benefit of society now and in the future. That's how they describe themselves. But they're a well-known, reputable journal. The authors are from Syracuse University in New York, Harvard in Massachusetts, Virginia Commonwealth University, the University of Washington, the University of Texas at Austin, and the University of Western Ontario in Canada. They wrote, quote, results show that the policy domains were associated with working age mortality. Bucking the trend, the study found that more conservative marijuana policies were associated with lower mortality rates. Well, there you go. You got to give them that one. It is true. Facts are facts, man. More conservative marijuana policies were associated with lower mortality rates. Yeah, I mean, that is one of the trade-offs of an increase in social freedoms, is that sometimes you'll have the freedom to indulge to the max and maybe go overboard and maybe hurt yourself or hurt some others in the process. You know, by the same token, I'm sure if we had, well, I don't know about that. I was going to say if we had alcohol illegal, fewer people would die from alcohol abuse, right? But, you know, we did have prohibition in this country, and we sort of had an increase in every negative thing. We had an increase in crime, had an increase in, like, gang activity and mafia activity and violence. And, well, I mean, no, to be fair, it may have been the case that fewer people consumed alcohol, but you didn't get the bad batches of alcohol that would kill people with a couple sips when you have it legal and regulated. So I'm not sure, but I'm willing to grant that facts are facts, and apparently fewer people die if you crack down on marijuana, but the question is it worth the trade-off, right? Like, we could ban cars, and you'd probably save hundreds of thousands of lives a year, right? But is that a good idea? Even if you save those lives, is it a good idea? So you're sort of balancing different values here, but what they found is, in general, the conservative states have higher mortality because of their policy preferences versus the liberal states. Anyway, let's continue. But it also found that more liberal policies on the environment, gun safety, labor, economic taxes, and tobacco taxes in a state were associated with lower mortality in that state. They added, especially strong associations were observed between certain domains and specific causes of death, between the gun safety domain and suicide mortality among them. Wow. Among men, I should say. Between the labor domain and alcohol-induced mortality, and between both the economic tax and tobacco tax domains and CVD, cardiovascular mortality. According to the National Council of State Legislatures, as of June this year, Republicans controlled 61% of state legislatures and Democrats 35%. In terms of whole state governments, Republicans controlled 46% and Democrats 12%, with 12 states divided. The study authors noted that American life expectancy as a whole is lower than in most high-income countries, falling between Cuba and Albania. Wow. So, I mean, we've known this for a while, right? That American life expectancy has been dropping, and there's a number of reasons for that. But, you know, other high-income countries, social democracies, fare way better than we do. They rank that they're happier, and in every measurable way, they are better off. So we can maybe there's a lesson in there somewhere about what kind of a system we should have. They wrote, the rise in working age mortality rates in the U.S. in recent decades largely reflects stalled declines in cardiovascular disease mortality alongside rising mortality from alcohol-induced causes, suicide, and drug poisoning. Yeah, see, this is what they call deaths of despair. There are now more deaths of despair in America because people feel like there's no hope. There's no upward mobility, socially or economically. And so, you know, you could drink yourself to death or pop pills and die that way. And it's a sad thing to see, man. It really is a sign of civilization collapse, if you ask me. And certainly late-stage capitalism. With federal and state midterm elections less than 2 weeks away, increased social spending and legislation passed by Democrats in Congress and the Biden administration has become a key issue in voters' minds. Joe Biden and other senior Democrats have sought to emphasize the success and necessity of such measures, but Republicans who have presented such measures as irresponsible and contributing to inflation are poised to retake the House and perhaps the Senate. The study authors wrote, one study found that U.S. life expectancy could increase by nearly 4 years if the country matched the average level of social policy generosity offered in 17 other high-income countries. Yeah, but that's like the whole fight, right? Is that people on the left, the real left, are trying to make the U.S. more of a social democracy. And that would certainly increase happiness, increase life expectancy, but many barriers in the way, including big money, which will do anything and everything to prevent that, because they want us to be a laissez-faire capitalist system where they can exploit workers relentlessly. But anyway, look, the bottom line here is, and this is a big deal, Americans die younger in states run by conservatives, and they find more liberal policies on environment, gun safety, labor, economic taxes, and tobacco taxes have lower mortality. It's not surprising. If you build a society where people are looked out for in the sense that the bare minimums are taken care of, they're going to be better off. I mean, it's as intuitive as saying, if you have a parent who doesn't give a fuck about their kid, they're going to be worse off than having a parent who provides the basics for the kid, right? Roof over their head, food in their belly, a certain amount of leisure in the sense that they've bought them toys, just funds to spend on the kids so that you can actually be present, help them out, facilitate their growth. That's the conclusion of this study. Being a good parent is better than being a shitty parent. Right. Having good government is better than having no government or shitty government. Really not all that controversial. Ever since Adpocalypse, when YouTube defunded all independent news and politics overnight, we haven't trusted them. We know they can pull the rug out from underneath us at any time. If you enjoy this content, please consider tipping $1 or $2 per month on the Secular Talk Patreon. Link in the video description box below. Thanks for your support.